fucking go.
My name is Serena fucking Kerrigan. I am an icon, legend, entrepreneur, CEO, bad bitch. I'm the moment.
So you are the queen of confidence. You're an influencer, but an icon. You are CEO of SFK, LFG, LLC. And let's take this back to the beginning though. You were born and raised in New York City and you went to Duke. So who was Serena Kerrigan then and who has she evolved into now?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I think that I've always been really interested in storytelling from a young age.
Scene 1, take 2. Mark.
Action.
And when I was 15 years old, I picked up my first camera and I was in my high school's film festival and I made a short film about a guy that broke my heart. And so it's funny to where I am now, but I'm really just doing the same thing. I was very interested in telling stories about dating and heartbreak and romance from a very young age. I won Best Film at my high school's film festival and it was really, truly everything changed for me because I wrote, directed, shot, edited that film. And it was also a fuck you to the guy that fucked me over. It was a real moment where I realized that I had the agency to create art and to express myself and people thought it was good. And that was just so validating for me. And when you think about what I do now, it's essentially the same thing. I'm telling stories about dating. Yes, I'm still dating, obviously. So, and also just showing stories of empowerment. So after I made that film, when I was a freshman in high school, I wanted to become a filmmaker. And I essentially still kind of am. I think that the reason I don't like introducing myself as an influencer, even though, and I think, I am an influencer, I realize that's part of my job. I really am a storyteller and a businesswoman, CEO. The thing that makes me feel the most fulfilled is when I make a really highly piece of produced content.
I mean, did you see me on Dumois yesterday? I think that was a flash. Oh, actually, that was a pigeon.
So you always loved producing and creating, and then at post-college you went to Refinery 29 and you did that there. What was that experience like? You had your own show, you produced a number of other things.
Many shows.
Many shows that were both produced and starred in, so can you tell us about that experience?
Refinery 29 was amazing because it was when I was at Duke, social media was different. I feel now we're all so literally looking in everyone's lives and it makes us really compare. But when I was a senior at Duke, I was probably should get a job for this summer. I was very lax about it because I knew I was gonna get a job and I knew I was gonna work in content. I had a lot of internships before, but I wasn't anxious about it. But I did know, I remember I was should I work at a talent agency like CAA, UTA, WME, or should I work at a place where I can make content? And I really wanted to make content. And I remember I walked in Refinery 29 and I loved the brand and the ethos and their commitment to diversity and inclusion. And I remember I started on the Facebook Live team. I was an intern. I could not believe that as an intern post grad, I was literally the producer, shooter. I was engaging the audience, I was helping the host. I couldn't believe how much power I had over that content right out of college. I couldn't, for this company, it was unbelievable to me. So I became obsessed. And my parents were don't pigeonhole yourself to the Facebook Live team, just be a production intern. And I was no, I feel my gut, I have to do live. I love live because when there's no post-production, it's a lot cheaper to make things. And it was so fun. And I really was able to just produce, star, wanted to be on camera so badly.
Hey guys, I'm Serena Kerrigan, the queen of confidence, and welcome to my sweet digs. I'm Serena Kerrigan. I'm a video producer and host at Refinery 29, and you can also see me all over social media as the queen of confidence.
And the experience was just a learning experience. I mean, then I did Let's Fucking Date, which was live. I would never have done Let's Fucking Date if I hadn't done so much live content at Refinery.
Right, you knew how to run a live show, which you would never
fully.
have
I would have
known.
never, I would have never felt comfortable enough to create a TV show, in my living room during a pandemic.
Right.
If I hadn't had all those years. And I really think that everything happens for a reason. And I remember that intuition I had that no, I'm going to work at Refinery 29. No, I'm going to be on the live team. That doesn't, you have to listen to those moments in your life because I think they're really telling like a larger story. And so, yeah. And then I decided to leave Refinery because they didn't pay me enough and because they didn't value me. And I realized that no one's gonna value me as much as me, like ever. And no one will value you as much as you.
Right. And what do you mean by they didn't value you? Was it like?
I think it was just like, you know, I really wanted to be on camera. I knew my potential. I knew that I could captivate an audience, and they just didn't value me as talent. They didn't put me up for things. It was just, there was a lot of issues with the Refinery 29. Like, I'm not gonna be the first person to tell you. Like, it's just, there was a lot of issues with that company and the way it was managed, but I just think, like, I remember going back and forth for like 6 months being like, could I really start my own company or brand? Or like, could I like really, like, if I gave it my all, like, could I do this? And I remember I saw a New York Times article about Mrs. Dow Jones. And I was like, like it was just saying how she was able to, you know, quit her job and built this brand. And I was like, see, I can do that because she's so niche. Like her entire thing is about women finance, right? Like my thing was so niche, it was about confidence. So I was like, I think that I have the real potential to quit my job and like make something of myself. Of course, I did that 2 weeks before the pandemic. So like that was.
But it worked out in your favor because that's when you did
Totally.
your live show and people were on their phones more than ever at that time.
Yeah, I remember specifically thinking when lockdown happened, oh my God, this is only gonna last like 3 weeks, maybe 3 months max. Like this is such a small amount of time to really get people, everyone's paying attention. So it's like, you just have to create shit, like create. And I remember like I just had come from Refinery where I had, you know, hair and makeup and production team and editors. And so then all of a sudden being in my apartment alone as a content creator, it was like, well, you quit. Like this is what you signed up for. Like go be a content creator. Go figure it out. And I think that, you know, I just picked something that was gonna be easy and that I felt comfortable doing, and that was going live. Like I didn't try to like become—
And going on dates?
And going on dates, which, you know, I just love to do. Which I do. Like I love going on dates.
Right.
So it was just like, I just picked something that was just like easy, but I didn't say like, I'm going to create a TV show. I just started going live. And then, you know, a lot of the times when I would go live, what would I talk about? I would talk about dating. How are singles gonna date? What is this new world looking like? Like, what are we supposed to do? We feel so lonely and isolated and scared and we're craving that connection. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? And so the more I talked about it, the more, you know, we talked about FaceTime dating, and then, you know, one thing led to another, and ended up dating on Instagram Live.
And the cool aspect of the live is that you could like see people commenting while you were on the date and kind of have like a whole support system while on the date.
It
which is
was
so unique.
Insane. I mean, I think the audience really played God. Like, they literally were like, we want to see his tattoo, we want to see his room, like, can we meet his mom? Like, that doesn't happen in dates ever in life. It's crazy. I mean, have you ever seen your best friend date? Like, all my best friends have seen, my parents have seen me date. Like, so weird. I think the voyeurism of the show, and that they were like, you know, the audience was like a fly on the wall, and they were like kind of peering in, watching, but also able to interact and engage was really what made the show so popular.
And it was the first ever live
of its
dating
kind.
show.
I mean,
of
really,
whatever.
It was just, I think it was like the first real television show on Instagram.
On Instagram.
To be honest.
Yeah, so groundbreaking. And you kind of took that show and made it into an entire brand. You started making card games. What inspired the card games?
I knew that like it wasn't just me going on dates on Instagram Live. It was a TV show, and I knew that I couldn't like sit down with a guy and like play the name game or be like, "Where'd you go to camp?" Like no, like I had to like come in like hot. It was about entertainment, and the thing that was so fascinating about dating live and having that commentary, and also seeing how many people were watching, I knew when my dates were getting boring. I knew when people, that was the worst comment, when people were like, "Oh, this is boring." I'm like gonna turn off. Like, oh my God. So I'm like literally juggling, like being the host, being the producer, reading, you know, notes from my producer coming in via text, reading the comments, watching how many people are watching. I mean, like, and also being myself, funny,
and
like,
being
flirty,
on a date.
like, no, and being on a date. Like, it was, and drinking. Like,
Yeah.
And by the way, like, I loved it. It was so exhilarating, and like, I mean, it was nerve-wracking, but like, I didn't really, it was so fucking fun, and it was so of its time. Like, it was just like, every Friday night, like no one was doing shit during the pandemic. Like literally what were people doing? It became like a party there. So in terms of the card games, it was just like I started writing a list of questions that I thought would be interesting to ask these men that wouldn't be boring, that wouldn't be your typical like, you know, what do you do on the weekends? You know, like it had to be like that. And then I compiled all these questions and I was like, what if, I could be on everyone's date with them without actually being there, you know? And that's where the card game came from. But the show was extremely successful. We sold the entire second season to sponsors for 6 figures, like literally like Hint, Svedka, Bumble bought 4 episodes. Like we really were able, that was really what was the first of its kind, with that we were able to convince brands to buy episodic, like literally episodes of, the show and completely sponsor them. So for the Bumble one, I did all the dates were from Bumble. We picked all the guys on Bumble. I wore yellow. Like it was just like very, it was just really cool how we were able to make it really, monetizable.
Yeah, branded and monetized.
Yeah.
Something we've touched on is you being the queen of confidence, but we haven't talked about the fact that you're also just very sex positive. And so you went from making Let's Fucking Date to Let's Fucking Fuck, which is a sex card game. Can you talk about how you moved into that, and also just like what it's like having such a sex positive brand and the type of responses you get, both positive and negative?
Yeah, I mean, it was really like, Let's Fucking Date. We sold it, it was so successful. And it really just felt like, the summer of fucks was approaching.
Serena Kerrigan launched an Instagram dating show in New York during the pandemic.
Dating is my sport. What's yours?
Now, with quarantine lifted, the self-proclaimed queen of confidence wants virtual dating to get physical this summer.
It's the summer of f***s, not giving a f***, doing things that f*** and f*** a lot.
And I created that term because I realized that like, oh my God, this was gonna be the first summer that we're kind of like really out of the pandemic, kind of. So I was like, I really wanted to bring a game again that is gonna make people feel comfortable to be intimate. And like, I think people really think that the game is like super sex crazy, but it's not. It's really just really have like a really deep, meaningful conversation so that when you do have sex after the game, it just like, it hits different. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's powerful because you're so opened up.
And people probably forgot how to date while they were in the pandemic.
And how to fuck.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they needed that kind of guide.
100%. And I think it's just a testament to like, the marketing that we do. I just think it was a story. Like I try to sell these products like with a story. It's not like, oh, like we just made a fuck card game. Like no, it was like the summer fucks is here. Like you're gonna need this so you feel ready to go.
Right.
Like that was the storytelling with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just so fun. I love coming up with those campaigns. And
your most recent campaign was like broke the internet. So tell us about that and where the idea came from and what exactly you did.
Yes. So, I really wanted to create a card game about self-love, and because that is, the origin story of my brand. And then I think that I just thought a lot about, okay, like what is self-love? And I really thought about self-pleasure and how that to me is like, women specifically are given the ability to orgasm for, no reason other than pleasure. Like, it's not like you have to have a kid, like, you know what I mean? Like men on the other hand, but women literally like just can orgasm for pleasure. And I think that that's so fascinating and such a like important to like really know your body and give yourself that love. I think it's still like the ultimate act of self-love. So we called it Let's Fucking Play, and then we really thought about the marketing, and I know that for Let's Fucking Fuck, we did also kind of a stunt. So I was like, literally, how the fuck are we going to like top that? I think that's always like what my team talk about. We're like, we're never in competition with others. We're always in competition with ourselves, And I remember like a lot of people thought I was launching an OnlyFans back in June when I said SFK is coming on 6ix9ine. And so my team and I, we came up with this idea that we would, market essentially that I'm coming out with an OnlyFans account and that I would be playing with myself one night only, but I wouldn't be really playing with myself, I'd be playing with the card game.
Right.
And it was a huge success. We got people to the platform. I think we got close to like 4K subscribers, and people were shocked and said it was great. And I think that I obviously like we used another platform, and I think that it really like brought into it brought a lot of topics that came up about, one, that OnlyFans is a platform that's like Patreon, that's like a lot of, it's not just about sex. There's a lot of content on that platform that isn't about, sex work or masturbation. But that being said, I think it's important to, I just think there's so much shame around sex in this country. I think it's extremely puritanical, and I think it really called into question, like, if I am, a white, cisgendered, straight, white woman, of privilege, extreme privilege, getting really nasty remarks, tons of unfollowing from saying I'm posting an OnlyFans. I can't even imagine to the degree that, people of color, sex workers, or anyone, any minority is facing when they're doing this. So I thought that, using the comments, the mean comments that were sent to me as fuel, as saying this is why we did this, was really effective. Hateful comments I got were from women, which I just thought was really fascinating because they literally were like, how can you expect, I thought you wanted to be the face of Chanel, or I thought that you wanted to go to the Met Gala. Essentially, I thought, those are these goals that I've set for myself. And I was like, so a woman can't be sexual and successful. A woman can't be sexual and, dateable. And I know that I rock the boat.
Yeah.
From the get-go, from the first conversation we said, if we're gonna use OnlyFans as a way to launch this card game, then we're absolutely gonna need to work, with a company and an organization and donate to this organization to help sex workers. And we reached out to a couple of different organizations, and one of them was the Sex Workers Outreach Project. We're gonna be donating 10% of the proceeds to them, but I think it was really interesting talking to them about the work that they do and how they help women or, people, sex workers in general, get out of incarceration or reintegrate back into society or whatever it may be, and helping them and protecting them. How, the more that something is censored and shamed and prohibited, it doesn't mean it stops happening. I think that's what's so weird. It's like don't talk about sex. Or parents being like, oh my God, I'm not getting you condoms because then you'll have sex. It's your kids are gonna have sex regardless. People are going to have sex. It's why we literally live on this fucking planet. And sex work will exist, and it's someone's prerogative. It's their body. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So I think it's important to just remove shame. I was very fortunate to have parents that were very open and talked to me about these things. And so I never felt ashamed. I did feel a little bit because I felt like there is shame. There is so much shame around sex. And even if you grow up with parents that are pretty fucking chill, because you go to school, because you're in this world, it starts to eat away at you. Only 11 states in the US are legally required to have factual education, sex ed.
In schools?
In schools, okay? In public schools, yes. It's a crazy number, factually correct. So literally, they can teach any, no, it's so bad. And only 11, so it's a lot of schools in the United States do not have sex ed. And literally, what does that do? That's what creates the shame. That's why women aren't orgasming. That's why they're they don't know what sex is. They don't realize that if I don't, it should be a shared experience. That isn't something that was taught to us. And I think it just it creates it's dangerous. I think when you make things secret and shameful and hidden, it becomes very dangerous. And that is really what I'm looking to kind of, fix.
So I want to talk a little bit about your confidence coaching, because that was a big thing that you talked about a lot earlier on in your platform.
It's interesting. I think about, my brand and the way that affects my dating life. And I think that it's harder for me because I think, again, I remember I was talking to a guy friend, he was like, well, you just don't seem that dateable. Because it's I'm giving Sam Jones fucking energy. And I just think that is not that I'm not dateable. I think that maybe there's some men that are intimidated by it, but that's not my fucking problem. It's annoying, but it's you know what? Then I'm not that dateable. But the work that I'm doing, I think, is really important. And I'm really trying to show that you can be the successful CEO with a nearly $1 million business that loves to fucking have sex and black out and have fun.
This is kind of different from Let's Fucking Date, but just goes along with the idea that you are always creating and thinking in this way. Well, on a walk in your new neighborhood, you created a whole brand out of the West Side Highway called Club West Side Highway. So how did that idea happen, and how has that evolved?
Basically, I signed a deal with Nike, and I was tasked to do content for them, and they were a wonderful brand to work with because they literally make whatever you want. We love it, just make it. And I think that other brands should look to what they did because, especially an app like TikTok, when you make branded content, it really can't feel branded. If anything, the way that it's branded is just the caption itself. And so I was on the West Side Highway with my mom, and I was I really don't know what to do for this, TikTok that I have to make for them, and I'm stressed out about it. And as we're walking, I'm whoa, there's just so many fucking fucking hot guys everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, this is the hottest club. This is the hottest club. Guys, the hottest club in New York City isn't a club. It's the West Side Highway at 8:30 in the morning. The guys here are so hot. Oh my God. Hot guy, hot guy, hot. Everywhere. Are you kidding? This is one way of getting your heart rate up. The reason I love it as a brand was one, like there's a real community there that I felt like I was like, this has been here, you know? It's like anti-elitism, like anyone can go. You don't need a reservation. You don't need to know anyone's name at the door. You don't need $1, you know, like anyone. It's the most inclusive space because it is a fucking park, highway. So, you know, I just thought it was really fun. And then like, you know, I just saw an opportunity to like work with the Elk and do the branded coffee and make hats and merch.
It's just a good example of how though you're always creating and thinking in that way, and how it's like you said, like you don't want branded content to look branded. You want it to come from you, and you clearly feel passionate about Nike, and you loved that partnership you did, so you wanted the content to be genuine and
totally
real and
it
from
was.
SFK, not from Nike's team.
And I'm telling you, like literally, like I still can't believe that they approved the asset because it really, but it's so sick that they did because it went viral.
Right.
It went viral. I knew it was going to go viral when I made it because it was a story. It was funny and it was authentic and real, and it wasn't like banging in the head with, you know, being a branded piece of content. I love community. I think that that's something. The other day someone said, like, you know, if you always say that you have to find your validation from within, then, you know, why are you so keen on being famous? And I was like, because my validation comes from myself, but I think being famous is really like connecting me to people. You know, that's what I love about it, is that like I really get to hang out and meet and connect with a lot of people that also share my values and agree with, you know, the majority of the way I see my life. So, I mean, not that I'm, you know, surround myself with just yes people, trust me, I don't. But like, I think that's what I love about being a public figure, is that community that we built. So
That's how we met.
That's how we met.
Literally
Exactly. And that's the
promoting
best
Club
ever.
West Side Highway.
Literally.
So.
I started confidence coaching because I literally didn't have any money, and like the pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, but I realized I was getting so many questions from, you know, tons of my followers all the time, and I was like, you know, maybe it would be just better to do this on Zoom. And I met with 150 women, ranging ages from 14 to 60. And it just became way too time consuming. And it's also funny because every one of them thinks that their problem is so unique to them. And I'm like, actually, no, it's a systemic societal issue that is making you insecure. Like everyone's born with confidence. But when they become aware of the world around them, they start to be like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I don't look like this. Or someone made a comment about me, or I'm not good enough, or like I'm not. That's when you start to become insecure, and it's very difficult to unlearn those things about yourself. I just wanted to make it accessible. Like I just wanted to share, because I really ultimately think like being confident is standing on top of a mountain, and all you want to do is like get everyone else to join you so they can see how beautiful the view is. Like that's what confidence is to me. So I just want everyone to see the view, and I just don't need to do it on Zoom.
Right. You do it to much more than 150 people now anyways.
I know, right?
So
literally.
In the industry, it's so front and center to see what other influencers and creators are doing. Is there toxicity in that community often? Like you know, being an influencer in New York, you meet these people all the time. You interact with them all the time. Would you say that it's a supportive community, a mix?
I have to say, I think that the TikTok community is I just think it's changed. I think the influencer, it's changed. I mean, video is king, and you can't Facetune personality. So a lot of these kids have great personalities, and they're great on camera, and they're very social, and they're in college, which is fucking insane to me.
Right.
But I really, really like the influencers that at least are in the New York City scene. I like them. I think that they're very inclusive and sweet, and you know, I did, you know, a couple years ago, through my experience at Refinery, I did attend fashion weeks before, and it was a very different culture. It was a very different vibe. It felt a lot more exclusive and not as nice. I don't have that experience now. I think everyone's super nice. It's really, really, really great.
That's interesting.
And
about
collaborative.
You can't edit personality. These are people that are well liked, not because they're taking cool pictures and wearing cool outfits, but because they are
it's just
And I've
them.
noticed the same thing. Shout out to TikTokers and influencers I've met. Like, I'm not surprised when I meet people. Like, I'm like, what they're showing is what you're getting, which is good.
Yeah, totally. And I find that it's just a very collaborative, like, I love them. Like, I love a lot of the TikTokers, man. And I love it because, like, a lot of them, at least in New York City, are, like, pretty young.
Right, they're
Like,
literally like 19.
One of my favorite, like, this girl, Kate, who I adore, like, she's literally, like, in college, like, in her senior year. And I'm, like, cracking up because I'm like, when I was a senior, like, I was so, like, I can't even imagine, like, having a following and TikToking and running around New York. Like, it's so crazy, but it's also such a Gen Z mentality. Like, I'm obsessed. But it's been really great. I've had a really solid experience. I think you can't compare. I know it's so hard, but you cannot compare yourself to any other creator. If anything, like, if they're doing something interesting or that you respect or something's working for them, absorb that information and, like, how can you make it your own, or what's a tip or trick?
You mentioned goals, like wanting to go to the Met Gala, be the face of Chanel. Where do you see SFK in 5 years?
I think that, I think I'll be a household name. I think I'm going to be revered as, like, the true, like, sex positive icon of my generation. And I think that I'm going to have a TV show that I've written, directed, and starred in on a major streaming platform. I think I probably...
Did I hint at something?
Yes, I am writing something. Currently, I am writing a scripted show, and that's, like, really, like, to me, like, the ultimate. That's what I always wanted to do since I was 15. So, just, like, world fucking domination, really. But I'm really open. Like, I think that, like, I don't know. I obviously, like, write down my goals. I think everyone should. I literally write, like, I will do this, I'm going to do that. I literally write my life like it's a script, and that's why everything's happened, because I just decide. But I also, like, don't want to put these, like, strict, I'm not, like, a 5-year, 10-year plan person.
But like you said, in 2020, you said I'll have X amount of followers by a certain time, and you're beyond that, so don't pigeonhole your goals.
Absolutely. I think it's super important to not, like, put any time limits or anything, but really think about, like, what do you want to do and what is the impact that you want to leave on the world, you know, and not be afraid. Like, I do a lot of risky shit, and, you know, and I want to get those hateful comments. I'm like, I'm doing something right. I'm making people think. I'm making them angry, and that sucks for them. But I know that the work I'm doing is really important and impactful, and not everyone's going to agree, and that's okay. Yeah.